was unable to focus, and I felt the walls were closing in on me. I was nervous, and I felt like I wanted to talk to someone. So I called my friend, and he also told me that he could relate to such nervous episodes. You know, talking about it to someone was such a relief. Before jumping in, I want to ask, how many of you here have been nervous or afraid before an exam? Almost every one of us, right? I had these nervous episodes almost before every exams, and little did I know that they were due to induced anxiety and fear of failure, and it was not really fear of exams itself. We know that we need to go to a doctor if we have a temperature, but why don't we know what to do if our anxiety is intensified? Even if our anxiety is intensified, and if you reach your friends regarding your anxieties, the cliched responses from them would be something like, just chill, like if that helps. Later that night, I asked myself, what is mental health doing to me? What is mental health doing to my friends and peers? Am I getting help? Is my institution helping me with it? Am I taking care of my mental health just like my physical health? That's when I started asking questions about mental health, and I've continued to do so since my master's research on the same. I'm Mohesh, I'm an architect, and last winter I finished my research on how architecture could facilitate personal and social well-being, especially for students. Now let's take a look at the mental health situation in India. 1 in 7 Indians suffer from depression, stress, and other anxiety-related disorders, and that applies to the student group as well. Did you know that 56% of the tertiary students have considered dropping out because of mental health issues? Imagine more than half of the students in this campus would consider dropping out. So why is students' mental health declining, and where do these anxieties stem from? According to the Student Union Association, in 2018, it was found that there are 21 triggering stresses causing the depression and anxiety, ranging from academic anxiety, social media, drug use, and peer pressure. Now let's compare this data with the regional mental health statistics. In 2013, only 23 patients were admitted due to mood and affective disorders in Trichy's mental health facilities. Now that you see the statistical issues reported are not entirely accurate, and it is only the tip of an iceberg. Talking about mental health in India has always got a stigma attached to it, and we are hesitant to ask for help. And apart from stigma, there is an interesting pattern observed in students when asking for help. In a recent survey, the students were asked, why don't they seek treatment for their mental health? The results might be surprising. 18% of the respondents thought that the problems would go away by itself, and then they were scared of judgment and hospitalization. And the rest of the 72% of the respondents thought that, and then they tried to solve the problem on their own. This belief system of the students trying to solve the problem on their own calls for us to act immediately before it worsens to a degree where a student needs to be clinically treated. But the mental health facilities in our regions are in a developing state, so we need alternative measures. So where can we start working on mental health awareness? Which place is viable to attain solutions, and where the students can get immediate help? If you see, in the last decade, there's a rapid increase for the enrollments of the tertiary education soon after the secondary education. Even though it has noticeable career benefits, it also comes along with other concerns like mental health issues. For instance, the KTPI report has found that students spend 1/3 of their day in institutions. Now you can see that institutions are the best place to start providing mental health solutions. So what tools can institutions use to help? There are 2 tools in which the institutions can use to help. Firstly, mental health services. Just like medical health professionals and additional mental health experts should be hired to provide academic counseling, one-on-one therapies, and even conduct well-being workshops to help you understand about your mental health and evolve better. The University Grants Commission process must consider these mental health services as mandatory. But you know that policy changes can be a long process. The best way to address mental health issues is to prevent them from worsening, and this is where our second tool comes into play, which is architecture and environment. Did you know that any built environment or a space can promote or hinder your mental health? Let me start by giving you an example of how a simple environment can change it and alter your mood. So how many of you here enjoy being in a cafe? That's most of us. We work in our laptops, we read books, and some of the best venting sessions happen over a cup of coffee. But have you ever thought, why are we so productive and social and we rest in comfort inside a cafe? The answer is, the coffee shops elevates attention to all our senses. And it is activated to a certain point where we get desired comfort. The decorated interiors pleases our eyes, and the music in the background pleases our ears. And then we interact with the drink's temperature, be it hot or cold, and then we take a sip of it to activate our taste buds. And finally, the aroma from the fresh ground coffee and the pastries are such a pleasing smell. Now you can see that the cafe elevates attention to all our senses, thereby leading to comfort for all of us to stay there longer and also be productive. Universities must tap into this idea to provide these well-being spaces. So what the institutions can do? In order to provision and design these well-being spaces, let's observe an existing scenario in the campus. We like to accommodate ourselves in partially covered areas such as courtyards, atriums, or even under a tree. We also like to be in spaces that gives us flexibility and freedom. Humans tend to like to connect with the agents of nature such as sky, earth, landscape, and water. For example, people in the basketball court pavilion tend to be social, have their club meets, and be productive and relaxed simultaneously. You could go grab a cup of coffee, meet your friend, and work on an assignment. There are no boundaries here, and the space is interpreted as you wish. Just as I said before, with all the senses, the well-being spaces can be created. And the architects and the designers must focus on creating a multi-sensory involvement along with the agents of nature to provide these well-being spaces. So what the institutions can do now? The regulative, if the regulative and authoritative boundaries are relaxed in a space, participation, engagement, creativity, and even productivity is improved. And these boundaries can be relaxed both in indoor and outdoor spaces. Using the existing empty rooms, empty buildings, and the existing landscape could be a start, and these boundaries can be relaxed both in indoor and outdoor environments. Firstly, in indoor, adjacent to classrooms, students need a room to chat, relax, and just be. These spaces should be partially covered, cast diffuse light, and provide maximum comfort for everyone. They should have supple furniture and be textured in a nuanced way so it elevates more than one sense. Hints of landscape should be added both inside and outside these environments, and these enhancements are doable right now with the existing rooms. Secondly, outdoor environments. Providing courtyards, landscape parks, and other friendly spaces are the first step towards creating well-being spaces. Research says that the sound of water, your interaction with grassy landscape, and then the smell and the aroma from herbs and flowers provides you a sensual cathartic relief. So the institutions must focus on creating such sensory moments in order to provide a stress-free campus for the students. Finally, it's not constructive for us to to make this into the university's problem and assume that might fix everything. Mental health issues are deeper than that. Now that we are aware of these issues, we must be responsible for our actions and how they perpetuate in helping ourselves and others in the student community. So what can we do now? Studies show that decluttering and altering your spaces to your own liking can increase positive emotions and alleviate depressions. So observe tiny discomforts in your room and get rid of them today. Here are some of the ways in which you can alter your room today. Color. Comforts and discomforts start with your color preferences. So it's time to switch those curtains to your liking. Landscape. As I said, bodily engagement is increased when you are connected with nature. So add indoor plants to your spaces, and even succulents can help. Lighting. I know that we're all used to the standard white lighting, but I would consider everyone to switch to warm white, unless until you're studying. Ambience. Turn on some music and blow off some steam. Research says that music helps you stay grounded. I'd encourage everyone to do a little research on your own on how to alter and declutter your spaces to your own liking so that you could enjoy some everyday well-being. And know that it's completely okay to be stressed or anxious, and know when to get help. Be kind to yourself, and that's the best gift you can give yourself. The utilitarian world keeps the student life busy, and there is a need to pause, interact, and reflect. I'd like to share a quote from Giovanni Plasma, who said that senses are the bridge between user and their environment, and architecture is the journey from one realm to the other. I'd like to leave you with two critical findings from today for you to reflect upon. Number one, architecture. Architecture can be a sublime tool to access your conscious self, and your space and environment has the power to change and alter your mood and behavior. Secondly, employing sensory design and architecture has shown an evident increase in personal and social well-being, and the bodily engagement with nature and landscape prepares you for such sensory experiences. Architects, designers, and the institutions must focus on creating these well-being spaces, which is essential for the student community. The responses to an individual mental health cannot be compressed into a one-size-fits-all approach, and the mental health issues are often laid in darkness. But today we saw that architecture and environment can be a ray of hope in order to provide personal well-being for the students. And I personally believe that architecture has the power to address the issues that are out of sight. Thank you.